Well, explain a little bit more about that. I mean, they've got all these vehicles up there, right? And I saw a documentary about this where they increased the speed at which the footage was shot, basically, and then it looked as though it was at normal speed.
That's correct, yes. See, what we believe happened is that the astronauts, they were suspended via wires, like what they did in the film From the Earth to the Moon. Like they suspended them via either cranes or helium balloons, to relieve them of their weight. And after they filmed them running around with these wires, they slowed that footage down. Originally, we thought it was slowed down to 50%, but it later turned out we looked at it again and it turned out it was slowed down to 67% normal speed. And you actually speed it up, and it looks like they're actually running in Earth gravity now. In fact, the Mythbusters, they recently tried to debunk this. What they did is they filmed the wires and the slow motion footage separately. Rather than filming the guy on wires and slowing that footage down, they filmed him running around, free of a wire. They played that back in slow motion. Then they filmed him on the wire, jumping up and down, and they just played that at normal speed. And what's ironic is that if you actually take the footage of him on the wire, slow it down to the appropriate speed, and then play it alongside the original Apollo footage, you get a near-perfect synchronization. And, of course, if you speed the Apollo footage up and play the wire jumping at normal speed, again, you get the near-perfect synchronization. And
don't you just love that?
Yeah.
You have a perfect opportunity to do things right, to expose what's going on, and they apparently, deliberately, do precisely the opposite of what needed to be done in the methodology in order to disprove it, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
this is exactly the same thing that happens with 9/11 all the time. Like we had the 9/11 10th anniversary, and our head, honcho media man over here, John Campbell, mentioned Building 7 and mentioned that it collapsed, but didn't show any of the footage of it collapsing.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was watching the news of it the other day, and I didn't see any footage of the Building 7 collapsing. And also, if I may say so about the 9/11 thing, I was a bit disappointed with the memorial that they put up. Those waterfall things. Personally, I think it looks more like a big gaping wound. Personally, so I don't think I was a bit disappointed with those, with the memorial that they came up with and stuff. But getting back to the subject of the moon landing stuff, I actually managed to track down Adam Savage. He was appearing at the amazing meeting in Las Vegas. I flew there in 2010, and during the Q&A session, he was one of the speakers there, and it is a funny thing. Once his speech was over, he says, this is a direct quotation, he says, "Now, if anyone has anything that I screwed up on the show that you want to talk about, just raise your hand." He asked for it. I raised my hand, and I complained about how he had stuffed up the wires and the slow motion jumping stuff, and he was like, what we do isn't science. We're an entertainment show. We might be wrong.
Well, the same is true of myself. I don't know a terribly large amount about all that kind of sciencey stuff, but I do follow the scientific method to a certain extent by assuming what I know is wrong and then allowing the evidence to either prove or disprove whatever hypotheses I come up with. That's the scientific method as far as I'm concerned. You're wrong until the evidence proves that you're right.
Yeah. That's the way it goes.
So as an astrophysicist, I mean, what are the actual numbers? Like, how far is it to the moon?
Do you want it in kilometers or miles?
Kilometers.
380,000 kilometers.
And how many miles? It was 250,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, 250,000, yeah.
How exactly you can get out that far? I mean, like, they've sent missions out there and whatnot, and in space there's absolutely no friction, as I've been led to believe. So as soon as you punch off with a decent thrust, go around the Earth, and then slingshot you out there, you basically don't really need much fuel from then on.
Yeah, what happens is that the moon, it sort of pulls you in, and you need to fire a rocket again once you get around there to deaccelerate enough to fall sort of into lunar orbit. And that's what keeps you in there. Otherwise, you're just likely to either just fly past it or crash into the moon, depending on your trajectory. And I see in the beginning they sent up their Ranger probes, which were basically to slam into it kamikaze style. And they took some pictures where this was to sort of test the bearing strength. And then they had the the lunar orbiter probes, which, as I said, they were to use to map the lunar surface to find out exactly what it looked like, so they know in advance. How convenient. And then, of course, there was the surveyor probes, which were there to make soft touchdowns on the surface. The Russians, they also had their own share of unmanned missions, and there's one that I would like to talk about, the Zonda spacecraft. You see, the Russians, they, as I said earlier, they were trying to, plan up their own manned mission, even though they knew they couldn't, get there because of the radiation. Although the N-1 was a complete failure, they had their the Zonda program, which was basically a stripped-down Soyuz rocket launched by the Proton rocket. Their big, heavy lift booster and stuff. And, anyways, you might have seen the Soyuz, docking with the International Space Station. Well, suppose, basically, imagine the Soyuz, but with the orbital module, that big compartment on the top of it, that removed just the re-entry module and the module with the solar panels, just sending that out to the moon. Now, they sent a few of those around the moon. The one that returned first was the Zonda 5. What's so special about this one is that this one carried turtles on board, and everyone says, oh, those turtles, they survived the radiation, so therefore humans can. But there's a bit of a problem, you see. Turtles are much more resistant to radiation than humans are. As I said earlier, it takes 500 rad to kill a person. Turtles, it takes anywhere from 15 to 60,000 rad. In fact, it's believed that, because of their resistance to radiation, it's believed by scientists that you can actually cure radiation sickness in humans by using turtle blood transfusions. And so so it's just apples and oranges what they're doing, comparing the turtles survived the trip to the moon, so therefore we can. Well, that's like saying, oh, Superman can survive, so we can. That's pretty much what it's like saying, It's apples and oranges.
Well, here's the thing. What is an astronaut's kryptonite?
Radiation. Radiation, sure.
So how exactly has this really been kept secret, hush-hush, for so long? I mean, usually when a big conspiracy involving high-up people, they'll usually have some description of blackmailing device on them, in some cases they'll be involved in sexual debauchery or something like that. They've always got some kind of dirt on them, so if they were to ever speak out, they'd lose all their credibility, lose their careers, etc., etc. And not to mention, imagine what would happen if Buzz Aldrin came out and said to everybody, yep, it was a hoax, and I've been riding this gravy train for the last 45-odd years. Okay? He'd be crucified, wouldn't he? So the lie's been going on for so long, if it is a lie, in fact, that they basically can't reveal the truth for fear of annihilation.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Like, a lot of people will keep shut up about it, because fearing they might be assassinated. Like, look at what happened to Gus Grissom. The guy in the beginning, he was saying that we won't be able to get to the moon, but we don't have the kind of technology. Someone's going to get killed, and what happened? Here's the break. I'll tell you after the break.
Oh, yeah, right cliffhanger there, or a moon hanger as it may be. You're listening to the Vinny Eastwood Show, the lighter side of genocide. And we'll be right back after the break with a very special guest, Apollo hoax investigator Jarrah White from Australia. Back in a moment.
Now you and your family and friends can enjoy the cleanest, most delicious, and healthy drinking water anytime, even while traveling, camping, at sporting events, or in emergency situations. The Berkey Light removes bacteria, cysts, parasites, and harmful chemicals to below detectable levels. It also reduces nitrates and unhealthy minerals like lead and mercury, while leaving in the beneficial and nutritional minerals your body needs. Berkey Light is so powerful, it can even purify raw, untreated water from remote lakes and streams. And the optional PF2 filters even remove fluoride. The Berkey Light LED, with its rechargeable lighting system, can be used as a nightlight or camp light. To view or purchase your Berkey water system and replacement filters, please visit American Freedom Radio's website at AmericanFreedomRadio.com and click the Berkey banner. Once again, that's AmericanFreedomRadio.com and click the Berkey water banner. Not yet available in Iowa.
Do you realize every day we are being put under constant stress from wireless radiation? What's worse is that you don't even know that it's happening. It puts as much stress on our body as if we had a constant viral infection, draining our energy and sapping our strength, or just making us irritable and fatigued. These wireless fields are being emitted from computers, microwaves, mobile phones, power lines, and any electrical appliance. Now there is a solution. A group of research engineers in New Zealand have come up with an active shielding device that shields you from wireless radiation at a cellular level. Blue Shield comes in 3 models: a household, portable, and USB that plugs into any computer. The great thing about Blue Shield is it is very affordable and guaranteed to last. A one-off purchase will see you being protected for years to come. Visit AmericanFreedomRadio.com and click on the Blue Shield banner. Blue Shield, brought to you by the VinnyEastwoodShow.com.
Are you suffering from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeats, clogged arteries? If so, you are not alone. Millions of people are suffering from one or more of these problems. If you'd like to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then this might be the most important message you'll ever hear. An effective 100% organic nutritional supplement is now available. Heart and Body Extract is an exclusive formula of wild-crafted and organic herbs. It is extremely effective and starts to work within days. Get your Heart and Body Extract today by visiting heartandbody.com or by calling 866-295-5305, 866-295-5305, or heartandbody.com.
What is it that's in your home that causes grown men to cower and children to run for cover?
Fun!
Food storage.
That's right. Food storage shouldn't be scary. At Simply Your Food, we are the premier providers of long-term, storable, GMO, and MSG-free meats, veggies, fruit, dairy, and pantry essentials like powdered butter. We even have a gluten-free line. Food storage shouldn't be scary. Let Simply Your Food help you with your food storage needs. Go to simplyyourfood.com or call 866-251-7511 and let us take the scary out of food storage. Go to simplyyourfood.com or call 866-251-7511 and let us take the scary out of food storage.
Yo, what's up? Check this out.
The voice of the revolution. American Freedom Radio. American Freedom Radio.
Listen to the Vinny Eastwood Show on American Freedom Radio. Live worldwide weekdays 5 till 7 Central. It's the Vinny Eastwood Show on American Freedom Radio. Gentlemen, after all, it's just the end of the world. Welcome back to the Vinny Eastwood Show. We love to laugh about hilarious things like genocide and child kidnapping and aspartame making holes in your brain. Speaking of holes in your brain, punching holes through the conspiracy theory about the moon landing with Jarrah White right here on American Freedom Radio. Jarrah, welcome back. Now, you left us on a wee bit of a cliffhanger as we went out to break, and I scarcely can't remember what exactly it was.
I was talking about we were talking about how the guys involved would have to be constantly under threat of from the government, say, oh, you keep quiet or we're going to kill you and stuff. And I brought up Gus Grissom as an example. He was NASA's prime candidate to be the first man on the moon. And he was constantly complaining that the equipment they wouldn't work, it wouldn't get into the moon. In fact, he actually took a lemon off his tree, stuck it on a coat hanger, and hung it on the command module to let the world know what he thought of it. Because like in America, they say that cars that are not roadworthy, they say they're lemons. They wanted to say that this spaceship is a lemon. And shortly after that, he was burned to death in the Apollo 1 fire along with his 2 crewmates. Grissom was with was with Edward White and Roger Chaffee. Edward White, he was the first American to walk in space, and Chaffee was a rookie astronaut. Now, years later, in 1999, his son Scott was granted access to the remains of the spacecraft, and he found evidence that a metal plate had been lodged behind the dashboard to deliberately trigger a spark. So he said this was sabotage. My father was murdered, he said. And then there's another bloke, Thomas Ronald Barron. He was a safety inspector who worked for North American Aviation, and he released a report saying the program was in such disarray. He cited all these different safety violations and stuff, and he felt that they wouldn't be able to get to the moon either. And after he testified, he was found dead in his car along with his wife and stepdaughter because his car was hit by a train.